Sasha from the Autism Helper, and I'm setting up a school order of my curriculum for all 4 subjects. So I wanted to give you a brief rundown of how I've set this up for a school, how I organize it for each teacher, and how I set up workbooks using the curriculum. So I've shared some different options for setup in the past, showing how I use it in binders. There's a lot of teachers that use the curriculum in a lot of really creative ways. So this is just a different play on a way you can set this up. And now that we have language arts, math, science, and social studies, there's a lot of content. So we really liked the idea of making a workbook for each student. It's a lot of printing at the start of the year, but then you're set for the whole year. And I love that each kid has a textbook. You know, this is really like what our peers in the gen ed have. They have a social studies textbook and a math textbook, and now our kids have the same thing. So this order is all for one school. There's 4 classrooms of varied levels. So we have all of our language arts workbooks, our science, our math, and our social studies. So every student is getting a workbook for each subject, depending on what class they're in and what level that they're in. And I bound all of these with a coil binder. I'm going to share the link. I really, really like this coil binder. We used a printing company to print all the paper, but we bound all of these ourselves, and it really didn't take this long. And this is 160 workbooks. So for your class of 10 or 15 kids, the binding is really not that bad. So the coil binding I really recommend. So in each workbook, I set up I only printed the student pages, the pre and post test, and the rubric. So I kept the curriculum map inside because I thought that would be a nice reference for teachers to have. Each unit starts out with the pre-test, the post-test, and I included the rubric right in here, which I'll talk about in a minute. And then there's all of the student work pages included right here. So depending on how you utilize this resource, whether you have students do 1 page a day or a few pages a day, it's all going to be in one place. As the unit wraps up, you have the post-test right in here, and then the post-test rubric. So it's everything you need is right in this book, which makes it really convenient. So for each teacher, there's 4 teachers in this school, I also set up an assessment binder that will have all of their grading data sheets and their anchor charts, and depending on how they use other data sheets that I provide, they can put everything in one spot. So because each classroom is using all 4 subjects, I made a tab for each subject. I love these Avery extra wide dividers. I get them on Amazon because if you use page protectors, the tabs still stick out. So little things like that make it easier to find everything you need. So there's a tab for each subject, and within each tab are the grading data sheets. So you would use one of these for each student, and this will kind of keep track of your students' progress on the curriculum throughout the whole year. So you won't have to search through their workbook. You're going to kind of get a quick snapshot of what they're doing related to progress, growth, and things like that all on this page. So you put their name, the school year, and then as you go through each unit, you're going to write the date that you gave them the pre-test and the score, the date that you gave them the post-test and the score. So you'll be able to see some really nice growth. The rubrics are all included in the workbooks, so you won't have to scramble around looking for the rubrics for each student. So the rubrics are my favorite part of this curriculum because it gives a really, really comprehensive and detailed overview of where the student's at. So after the student does the pre-test or post-test, you'll circle which one, you'll score it specifically based on the notes here, and then you'll put it on the corresponding data sheet. So for the post-test, the reason I love this rubric is it's going to help you see where the student's errors are. So for example, for this rubric, if your student had a lot of errors on number 3, then you can come down here and see that a lot of errors on number 3 means they're still struggling on food vocabulary, which is one of the concepts included in this unit. So then you'll know that, okay, I might need to give some additional testing, I'm going to need to do some additional activities, the suggested activities are right there. Data-driven instruction is a big buzzword in education right now, and this is what that is. This is data-driven instruction. You're using the data you take to plan further instruction for your students. So it's all right here. So in this binder, I have the grading data sheets for all 4 subjects, and then in the end, I include the anchor charts. If you're using all 3 levels and all 4 subjects, the paperwork can kind of become a lot. So the anchor charts for each unit are all here. So language arts level 1, level 2, math level 1 and level 2, science level 1 and level 2, and social studies. This teacher only is using 2 levels. So everything's right here, so as the teacher gets to that unit, she can pull out the appropriate anchor chart, post it in her classroom, and it's all stored in one central location. Another thing to note that I included separate non-writer and writer versions of my level 1 for a lot of these teachers. Some of their students maybe don't have full writing skills yet, and in the traditional level 1 curriculum, there are some tasks that are copying or copying words, writing words, very basic, but some kids aren't ready for that and need that tracing option. So there's 2 stacks of level 1 in all these subjects because some of the teachers needed that non-writer option. So if that would be a good fit for your students, that's included in level 1. You don't need to buy a different set. That's just part of the level 1. There's 2 options now. So I hope that kind of this idea is helpful for you. I know it seems like a ton of work and a ton of printing up front, but it's so nice to have everything bound and in one spot for your students. And they have that, that textbook. So however you're using this, whether you're using this in your direct instruction center or a paraprofessional is using it, I love the idea of using these kind of coil-bound workbooks for each student. And you can see, this is for 4 classrooms, for 4 different teachers, all the subjects. Obviously, this is a ton of workbooks right here, but for your class, this would be something that is a lot of setup in the start of the year, but then you're really just off and running and able to really get into the curriculum and utilize it for everything that it's meant to be. So again, this was kind of a roundup of a way of organizing the Level Daily Curriculum by the autismhelper.com.